Happy Monday evening, 5:47. I hope everybody is doing well. Apologize for the lateness of the video, but I wanted to try to get grading done before I posted the video. I did get through all your discussion posts. I did not make it through the assignment yet, but I hope to have those grades done to you tomorrow or Wednesday morning at the latest. So week 4 was great. The discussion posts were awesome. Like I said, I'm looking forward to going through your projects there. But let's jump into week 5. Start with one of my favorite quotes of all time. I use this in every class. I probably used it more than once in a class for more than 1 week. But no matter what people tell you, words and ideas can change the world. And that's Robin Williams' character John Keating in the Dead Poets Society. If you've not seen that movie, it's an older one, a little bit older movie, but it is amazing. A lot of great actors, but more importantly, I think that quote really does hit at the core of who we are as educators. And so hopefully that is giving you a little bit of a boost or a little bit of thought that your words and your ideas are changing the world, one student at a time, one class at a time. So we're past the halfway mark. We're jumping into week 5, and the end's coming up. You really, in the next 4 weeks, have 2 major projects. You have the Arts and Movement project and your brain compatible unit, and you have 6 more discussion board questions. 3 of those are this week. So really, you have those 2 big projects, and they are worth a lot of points. So the goal is that you've already started on those. If not, that you use this week to really get going on those. So once again, this week in week 7, there are not any assignments due. The Arts and Movement project is due week 6, and your brain compatible unit is due week 8. So hopefully, like I said, this class has a little more breathing room than a lot of the other classes. So hopefully you use that. This week we do jump into the memory process, which really is fascinating. And so you have one chapter, one full chapter and part of another chapter. So chapter 3 and 4 of the Sousa text, and this one article here that I'll open up for you. And it's on a BBC website. And as I scroll down, you can see it's not a long article. It's literally maybe a 3-minute read, but it's a good article. But the Sousa text 3 and 4 is definitely more dense. So I'm going to jump down to looking ahead. We are going to talk about both week 6 and week 8 assignments in a minute here. But know that those are your last 2 bigger projects, and I believe one is worth 60 points and one is worth 50 or 40 points. So they're definitely worth a big bulk of your grade. But for this week, you have no assignment, but you do have 3 discussion board questions. So remember, for discussion board questions, your initial posts need to be done by Thursday, and you have 2 responses by Sunday. So quick math says that you're going to have at least 9 posts. I know most of you post more than 3 total for each question. So the first question is learning versus retention. Differentiate between the 2. Do you think there's a correlation between sense and meaning and then learning and retention? If you recall, sense and meaning is from last week's discussion post. Describe a strategy you use to facilitate retention. Why did you select that, and how does it benefit your students? So that's your first discussion question. The second one, timing is everything. It's based on about 12 pages of text, and it's really talking about the primacy and recency effect. And this is, I love primacy and recency. It really is a huge idea in education that I don't think we use enough to really design our periods or our learning time to how the brain learns best. So your results, you're going to do the exercise on page 99 and 100. Were your results similar to the norm? Explain how you can apply what you learned to your teaching. And then the last one, it's rates of learning and retrieval. Our brain needs retrieval methods. Otherwise, a stored memory would have no useful purpose. And I feel like right now during distance learning and COVID, that we all feel like we have a lot of stuff in our heads, but we can't retrieve it. I think stress and anxiety definitely makes that harder. But think about both recognition and recall as our brain's primary method for retrieving information from long-term storage, and then how they're independent of each other. What are the implications for learning? How did it change your view of students, whether it was a certain subset of students or all your students? What kind of challenges does this pose for you? And then any strategies that may help these differences. So like I normally don't go in that detail with your discussion questions, but there are 3 this week, and they're good ones. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what comes out of that discussion, because like I've mentioned before this class, the discussion posts are definitely heavy in a good way. So let's just quickly go over the 2 projects. So once again, Arts and Movement is due in week 6, which is next week, and it's worth 50 points. And so there are going to be some resources provided down here. You can look through all these resources. Create a succinct, persuasive, and compelling position project that explains why both arts and movement should be continued to use into weekly curriculum. Typically, these are a lot of slides. If you decide to do slides, remember put what you would say when you're presenting in the notes section, and keep your slides not too busy. Images are always good. Some students use Powtoon, Prezi, and Animoto are pretty popular. Google Spark is a great way. If you've not used it, you can use a starter plan, or you can pay for a premium plan to do presentations that are a little bit different and a little more polished. They're a really good job. So I would say pretend like you're presenting to your staff, maybe not the district superintendent. Your principal would be fine, but your coworkers, your staff. I feel like that presents better results. And then you have to persuade them to keep or spend their time and their mental energy on integrating the arts and movement into their own lessons. I've found that these are awesome presentations, and my hope is that it's not something that you just file away, but you can actually use moving forward. Everything should be in APA formatting. If you're doing Google Slides or PowerPoint, you can always put the resources in the notes section. You don't have to put it right on the slide. There needs to be at least 5 references from 5 separate sources. Once again, there's different ways. If you're struggling, if you want to try to do something different, but you don't really know what, please let me know. I've even had previous students use even a Google website and then do a screencastify over it saying, hey, I want this to be kind of an interactive thing, and that you could do that as well. We're going to go ahead and open the rubric for this, and it kind of just goes through how it breaks down the different points and how it's going to be graded. So the big one is really the content. Did you succinctly and compellingly state your thoughts and opinions about how or why to integrate arts and movement into the curriculum? APA is 5 points. Formal title page and reference slide, 5. Minimum of 5 references is 5 points. 20 slides or about 3 minutes of presentation. I will say that's moving at a pretty fast clip. A 20-slide presentation really would be about 5 to 8 minutes minimum. But if your presentation does everything it needs to do in 12, 14 slides, that's fine. Don't get too caught up on the number as long as you do the job you need to do. You use some sort of presentation tool, and any writing is in-depth and error-free. So that's where all the points go through on the rubric. So the final project is 60 points, and I will jump over the rubric in a second. But really what you're doing is you're taking a unit that you currently teach or planning to teach and enhancing it by integrating principles from this course. You're not writing a lesson plan, but you are describing the brain compatible principles and strategies that you're adding to the unit, and there's formatting below. So you can go through all the specifics. Always APA. There's going to be a cover sheet, list of title lessons, California content standards, or if you're using ISTE or something of that nature. And you can go through here and see all the different pieces, the modalities, the sense of meaning, memory strategies. The best way to look at this, though, is to look at the rubric, and it's going to go through all the pieces. scholarly writing, cover sheet, whole and parts, sense of meaning, modalities. So here's all the required parts that need to be in that paper and how they stack up on points. So look at that, and then look at the 2 student samples. That is going to be the easiest way if you're at a loss on how to get started on this project, if you haven't already started, and go through that. And it really does a good job of outlining what 2 different types of examples this would be. And then after you go through the rubric and the samples, if you have any questions, always reach out. Remember, you can always text me, you can call or email. So this is week 6 and week 8. They're coming up. But once again, week 5, just really focus on the discussion questions and then hit these 2 projects hard, as the next few weeks are going to go very fast. I hope you have a great week. I hope you have a safe week. And remember, always reach out if you need anything.